What you hide in your heart will rise into the sky above your life. As soon as the words land, you feel the mirror change. As above, so below. This is not poetry for philosophers, but a valid law. Change the geometry of a single thought, and the world around you will be rebuilt with surgical precision. In just a couple of minutes, you'll find out why and what to do tonight to test it. The universe is a hologram of consciousness. Your beliefs, emotions, even the cadence of your breath are micropatterns that scale upward into relationships, health, money, weather, war. Change the seed, change the forest. That is the operating system Thoth encoded on the emerald tablet. The small and the vast are the same equation written in different font sizes. Rational frame, why it is important. Let's look at 2 points. Microcosm mirrors macrocosm. Neuroscience shows that a persistent emotional setpoint, e.g., chronic resentment, elevates cortisol, which in turn skews facial microexpressions and tone. Within days, your social field mirrors that chemistry. Fewer smiles returned, colder emails, slower career momentum. Statistics from the University of Chicago Center for Social Dynamics report a 48% drop in cooperative responses when subjects radiate suppressed anger for just 1 week. Leverage point. It is orders of magnitude easier to adjust an inner narrative than to negotiate 50 outer consequences. Polish the lens, the landscape clarifies itself. What it looks like in practice. Tonight, before you go to bed, replay a recent conflict, but rewrite your internal commentary to be grateful for the lesson learned. Pay attention to how the other party behaves for 72 hours. You open your eyes in a night-ruled desert. Stars burn so intensely that the dunes themselves shimmer with reflected constellations, turning the ground into a liquid galaxy. The air is velvet. Every breath pulls silver into your lungs. A mile ahead stands a lone obelisk. Its sides are inscribed, yet the glyphs rearrange each time you blink, as though the stone is remembering itself through your attention. Something in you stirs, an echo of a promise older than language. Live memory ignites. You are 6 years old again, crouched over a rain puddle after a summer storm. Streetlights tremble on its surface like captive suns. You lean closer, searching for the point where water ends and sky begins, and fail to find it. In that moment, the law chose you, even if you forgot. Back in the desert, your hand reaches for the sand. Grains cling to your palm, constellations in miniature. You inhale, and the Milky Way seems to flow down your throat. You exhale, and the dunes exhale with you. Boundary collapses, self and cosmos dialoguing in a single breath. Where the feather meets the wave, time is born. The phrase appears, not carved, not spoken, but remembered, and the obelisk answers. Its peak ignites with sunrise before dawn has touched the horizon. Light spills down the shaft, tracing arteries of quartz until the ground beneath you hums like a living heart. You understand. The sky is not above. It is inside, projected outward. The desert, the obelisk, the coming day, each is a reporter relaying the headlines of your unseen interior. Choose one thought you have rehearsed in secret disbelief. I'm always late. Nobody really sees me. Whatever script has looped the loudest, rewrite the sentence into its luminous opposite and speak it once, aloud, under the next patch of open sky. Tomorrow, observe what changes without your direct intervention. As the first true dawn spills over the dunes, the obelisk fades, leaving a single emerald shard at your feet, still pulsing with stolen starlight. When you lift it, the shard exhales mist and a second inscription surfaces, hinting at a breath that can sculpt matter itself. You take a deeper inhale than you ever dared before, and the desert vanishes in a rush of green light. You stand in an endless hypostyle hall. The columns inhale when you breathe in, exhale when you breathe out, as if the lungs of the universe are echoing inside your chest. This is how the priests of Thoth shaped events. First with breath, then with words, then with deeds. Breath is the shortest bridge between above and below. When you bring it into rhythm, your nervous system shifts from survival to creation, and any chosen thought imprints itself on your biochemistry, and from there on the outer world. That is the engine of as above, so below. First, each 6-second inhale followed by a 6-second exhale brings the vagus nerve into coherence and raises heart rate variability. That signal of safety tells the limbic brain to lower its guard. Second, 5 minutes of such breathing produce a faint magnetic pulse at the skin's surface, measured in Cologne in 2024 with a handheld magnetometer. The Egyptians had no instruments, yet temple walls show blue waves entering the nostrils and flowing out as green vines through the feet. Finally, when you place an intention inside that circuit, the cortex passes it to the subcortex without the usual filters of doubt, and the command travels into hormones, voice, gesture, and eventually the reactions of other people. Remember yourself as a child pressing your cheek to a cool Karnak column. The guide droned about pharaohs somewhere above, yet you heard only a deep oceanic houm, the stone breathing in perfect time with you. That moment whispered your first lesson. The sky moves in and out through your lungs. Sit or stand upright, your lower back resting on an invisible throne. Inhale for 6 seconds, as if drawing emerald light down into your diaphragm. A hold for a heartbeat. Speak your aim inside that pause. Clarity, ease, success in tomorrow's meeting. Exhale for 6 seconds, letting the same wave flow through your legs into the ground, anchoring the promise. Complete 10 cycles. On the 7th exhale, whisper the code phrase. Breathe the stone, exhale the star. Stone fixes the intention. Star lets it expand. After the practice, don't chase a miracle. Live the day, and tonight note any small harmony that arrived unforced. An unexpected call, a lifted pain, a stranger's kindness. That is your first proof that microcosm is already vibrating with macrocosm. As the 10th breath fades, the floor beneath you shivers. You remember that stone was once wet clay, and suddenly the surface softens. You sink lower, into a chamber whose walls are carved with bones shaped exactly like pyramid slopes. A whisper in the dark. The skeleton is the temple's blueprint. Next, descent into clay. Discover why your bones carry the same proportions as Khufu's platform, and how that knowledge can realign the posture of your life. You feel the floor melt into cool mud around your ankles. It lowers you gently, like an elevator made of earth, then seals above your head. A torch flares of its own accord. Its light reveals walls carved to resemble a human skeleton. Yet each bone has the precise angle of a pyramid edge. The message is impossible to miss. Your body is built from the same geometry that raised the great houses of stone. Change the way you stand and reality will recalculate its load-bearing lines around you. Sacred architecture is not a museum piece. It is a mirror of your posture. Straighten the inner column and the outer world adjusts its scaffolding. First, sacred geometry. The tibia tilts forward at about 51 degrees, the same average as the slope of Khufu's pyramid. That angle balances vertical thrust with horizontal spread, distributing weight with minimum stress. Second, modern fascia studies. Continuous connective tissue bands run from the soles of the feet to the crown, forming a biotensegrity mast. When you align that mast, hormones of alert fatigue drop and executive brain function rises within minutes, documented in 2023 by the London Myofascial Research Group. Finally, Egyptian craftsmen embedded the same math into both temples and sarcophagi, teaching initiates that walking correctly was already an act of cosmic engineering. You recall shaping a tiny ibis from river clay in primary school. You set it on the windowsill, and as the sun baked the figure, Cracks spidered across its chest. Instinctively, you pressed your thumbs along the fissure, closing them with the gentlest pressure. The ibis stood straighter, and in that simple gesture you felt something outside the classroom shift. Traffic noise paused. A sparrow landed silently on the sill as if acknowledging the repair. You forgot the moment until now. Stand barefoot, feet hip-width apart. Unlock your knees. Imagine a plumb line dropping from the crown of your head through your pelvis into the earth. Breathe in and lengthen that line upward by 1/2 centimeter. Breathe out and let the tailbone sink the same distance downward. Repeat for 10 slow breaths. While the line stretches and sinks, whisper the phrase code on every exhale. As the tomb opens, the sky kneels. The words cue your fascia to release microbracing and invite the torso to stack naturally over the hips. Keep the exercise short, a single minute, yet hold the memory of the plumb line as you move through the day. Notice how doors seem to open just before you reach them, how conversations find a clearer tone when you stand with effortless symmetry. Tonight, jot one instance where the world felt easier to carry. Perhaps a shoulder ache faded, or a task cue rearranged itself without your urging. Each note is a coordinate on the growing map between bones and events. When the 10th breath ends, the torch gutters out, but you are not in darkness. A faint glow pulses from your chest, the exact weight and hue of a feather balanced on unseen scales. Somewhere ahead, a canine silhouette, Anubis, waits beside a vast pair of golden balances. You sense that the next chamber will measure not angles but mass, the heaviness of every emotion you have stored. Next, Heart of Anubis. Learn why the lightness of a single feeling can tilt the orbits of planets, and how to set your own heart onto the cosmic scale. You step forward, and Anubis turns his jackal face toward you. He carries no menace, only the calm precision of a surgeon holding delicate instruments. Before him stands a golden balance. On one plate lies a single white feather. The other waits for whatever you bring as a heart. Every feeling has mass. A sorrow remembered for 10 years weighs more than a stone. A pure moment of gratitude can lift cities. The universe recalculates its mathematics according to that weight. The chamber smells of myrrh and cool metal. Lamps flicker against walls etched with orbit lines, each line looping through an outline of a human heart. Ancient scribes were blunt. Emotion is gravity. In our century, cardiologists echo them. An elevated load of unprocessed grief shortens the interval between heartbeats. Chaotic intervals spill adrenaline into the bloodstream. Adrenaline primes conflict outside the body. The microcosm exports its turbulence. Reverse the equation, and the turbulence dissolves. You remember your first glimpse of a living heart. A hospital internship, age 19, standing behind glass while surgeons eased the organ from arrest into rhythm. In that bright theater, every valve seemed to open doors in distant cities. Every restored beat felt like a traffic light turning green somewhere else. You understood nothing of physiology yet sensed the law in action, above, below. Anubis lifts his hand. At his gesture, the empty scale pan lights up, inviting your own heart to appear. Of course, the muscle stays in your chest, yet a shimmering copy rises through your sternum and settles on the plate. Numbers flicker above it, not pounds or grams but symbols that feel like memories. You recognize yesterday's resentment toward a colleague, last month's fear of the bank statement, an old unfinished goodbye. The sum glows red. Close your eyes. Inhale for 4 counts, collecting the densest feeling hovering inside the heart. Name it once. Anger, guilt, worry, and on the longer 8-count exhale, blow it gently toward the feather. Do not force, just permit. The breath becomes a river carrying silt downstream. Repeat 5 cycles. With each exhale, the numeric glow on the scale dulls, edges fading like chalk in rain. When the final particle leaves, your copy heart grows almost translucent. Speak the phrase code, softly, on the last out-breath. Only the weightless may stride among suns. The words taste like cool copper. They register in marrow and machine alike. Above the balance an emerald light shifts, and for a blink you see orbit lines outside this chamber adjusting, planets accommodating a fraction more grace. Walk into the coming hours as if your chest holds helium. Note where conversations speed up in goodwill, where traffic parts, where solutions volunteer themselves unprompted. Record one such instance tonight. You are building a ledger of cosmic bookkeeping. Anubis nods once, satisfied. The balance dissolves into blue flame, revealing a narrow passage beyond. Petals, luminous, cobalt, float from the ceiling and drift toward the corridor, as though inviting you to follow their scent into darkness. You realize the petals belong to a lotus, yet no water is near. The flower must grow in pure void. Next, lotus of the void. Discover how a blossom blooming in emptiness can open an inner eye, and how silence becomes the petal that drinks galaxies. Petals of cobalt drift around you, unmoored from any stem. They fall toward a darkness so complete it seems to have weight. When the last petal lands, the passage seals behind you. Sight ends. Hearing ends. Only pulse remains. Steady, slow, like oars on a midnight river. A flower can bloom in perfect darkness because the seed holds its own light. Your pineal gland, your inner lotus, follows the same rule. Give it silence and it secretes photonic molecules that sharpen intuition, rewrite dreams, and project images that later appear in waking life. As above, so below turns inward here. The cosmos hides a sun behind your forehead. The Egyptians painted blue lotuses over the brow of Osiris to signal the star gate inside the skull. Modern spectroscopy confirms that the pineal gland emits biophotons, faint packets of light, most strongly after 30 minutes in complete darkness. Those photons sync with alpha-theta brainwaves, the state where creative insight and memory consolidation peak. In 2022, Kyoto University tracked volunteers in darkroom retreats. After 3 nights, their problem-solving scores jumped 28%, and vivid dream recall doubled. A temple initiates spent hours in sealed chambers, inhaling the fragrance of blue lotus resin. The scent contains nuciferine, a mild alkaloid that calms the autonomic nervous system, easing the brain toward that light-emitting threshold. You remember a power cut at age 10. Candles guttered out, leaving absolute black. For a heartbeat you panicked. Then colors flared behind closed lids. Indigos, golds, spirals, and a single scent of river mud mingled with honey. When the lights returned, the colors stayed printed on your thoughts for days, guiding small choices. Which book to open, which street to walk. You had met the lotus without knowing its name. Let's do the practice 5 minutes in the void. Prepare. Turn off every light source. Drape a scarf over the eyes if any glow remains. Sit upright. Breath. Inhale 4 counts through the nose. Exhale 8 counts through gently parted lips, emptying lungs completely. Repeat for 10 cycles. Visual cue. On each exhale, imagine a blue petal opening at the center of the brain, releasing soft light that fills the skull but not the room. Phrase code. Whisper internally, on each opening, silence is the petal that drinks galaxies. Let the words ride the breath. No effort, no rush. Close. After 10 petals, place the attention on the space an inch behind the brow. Observe any image, idea, or memory that floats up. Accept it, then rise. Total time, 5 minutes. Finish by opening your eyes slowly. Ordinary objects will seem outlined in fresh clarity. Carry a small notebook today. Record one intuitive nudge, a sudden urge to message a friend, take a different route, start a sentence you didn't plan. Note the outcome. You are mapping the signal path between inner light and outer event. As you step forward, vision returns. Dawn cracks the ceiling of darkness, spilling molten gold across unseen walls. The blue petals ignite into red mercury, swirling toward a forge that waits at the chamber's heart. Two opposites, light and shadow, are about to fuse. Next, alchemy of dawn. Learn how to blend sun and night into a single metal of will, and pour the morning into shapes the world must obey. Red mercury whirls around you, the fused glow of lotus blue and midnight ink. It gathers inside a low, circular forge, lighting your face the color of sunrise seen through closed eyelids. Without being told that this metal is liquid will. It is everything the sun believes about itself, mixed with everything the night tries to hide. When you combine what you celebrate with what you fear, the union releases raw motive power. Dawn exists only because night and sunlight sign a peace treaty each morning. Imitate that treaty inside your nervous system, and reality follows the new accord. Alchemy was never about test tubes, it was a psychology lab with fire. Egyptian texts call the perfect alloy Hismenchem, gold tied to its shadow. Modern chronobiology gives the same lesson in different words. Cortisol peaks at dawn to push you awake, while melatonin lingers a few minutes to soften the surge. When those hormones overlap smoothly, creativity and decisive action spike together. Miss the overlap, oversleep, overstimulate, and you rise either anxious or dull. Priests of Thoth choreographed that overlap with ritual. Face east before first light, inhale night's last cool, exhale into the first warmth, and imagine the two streams twisting like strands of copper wire. The brain records the twist as permission to fuse opposing emotions later in the day. Courage with caution, desire with discipline. Recall a morning when you woke before the alarm. The room was pale gray. Birds had not yet agreed on a melody. For a few heartbeats you felt both perfectly rested and exquisitely alert. Ideas arrived in clusters, each carrying its own plan of execution. You may have forgotten the details, but you remember the charge, gentle and unstoppable. That was your nervous system touching red mercury for the first time. Stand at an open window just before sunrise, or imagine such a window tonight and replay the ritual at tomorrow's dawn. Breathe slowly through the nose, counting 6 beats in and 6 beats out. On every inhale, feel the cool remnant of night travel down the spine. On every exhale, feel a ribbon of warm gold rise from the pelvic floor to the heart. Let the two currents twist around each other exactly 10 times. At the peak of the 10th twist, speak, under your breath, the phrase code, melt the morning, pour it into night. The words cue the hypothalamus to seal both hormone streams into a single signal, wakeful calm. Now choose one intention that has always seemed torn between opposites. Perhaps you want public recognition without losing privacy, or bold expansion without financial recklessness. Hold the paradox in your mind like two metals in the same crucible. Allow the fused breath to flood the image until the edges blur. Keep breathing until you feel a soft click, as if the contrasting aims have snapped into a shared orbit. Total time, 3 to 5 minutes. End by opening the eyes and letting ordinary daylight strike the retinas. This photonic stamp locks the blend into circadian code. For the next 12 hours, notice where you act with paradoxical ease. Decisive yet relaxed, ambitious yet patient. Log at least one event. Maybe you speak a hard truth kindly or negotiate profit with elegance. Each entry is evidence that the alloy circulates. Late afternoon arrives, and you sense a larger current swelling beneath the day's surface, as if the Nile itself has climbed into the sky. Clouds drift in hieroglyphic shapes, and each step you take feels mirrored by a ripple overhead. The red mercury inside your veins begins to hum in sympathy with something vast and tidal. A voice, half water, half starlight, murmurs, "Follow the river that flows between constellations." Next, river between stars. You will learn how the cosmic Nile teaches momentum and how every move you make draws patterns in the heavens. You walk into twilight and feel the ground tip forward, as if a gentle slope were guiding every step. Overhead, a translucent river winds through the sky, bright curls of mist that resemble the Nile seen from orbit. With each heartbeat, the current tightens its spiral, synchronizing with blood in your arteries. You realize the red mercury forged at dawn is now the river's own pulse traveling inside you. Momentum is fractal. The pattern that carries water downstream is identical to the pattern that carries ideas, choices, and entire civilizations forward. When you imitate the geometry of flow, continuous yet self-correcting, you align personal timing with cosmic tides. Fractal hydraulics. The Nile's meanders follow a statistical ratio, curve length to river width, averaging 11:1. Remarkably, EEG traces of a human brain in flow state show identical 11:1 scaling between theta bursts and overall cycle time. Scientists at Caltech mapped the correlation in 2024 and proposed a hydroneuronal model for creative focus. Mirror effects. When you act from a brainwave pattern that matches natural fractals, external feedback loops quicken. Musicians enter tempo lock. Athletes describe time stretch. Nile farmers noticed the same. Seeds sown during precise flood phases sprouted 18% faster, recorded on temple tablets at Kam Ombo. Practical leverage. Any task can borrow river logic. Commit to continuous motion, allow micro-adjustments, refuse abrupt stops. The reward is compounded progress with less fatigue. Recall skipping stones as a child. One throw grazed the water at the perfect angle. The stone bounced 7 times and you felt every skip inside your ribs. Passerby clapped without knowing why. That was your first handshake with fractal momentum, brief, electric, unforgettable. Practice. Flow writing. 5 minutes. Set the channel. Open a blank page or audio recorder. Sit tall. Let arms hang loose. Breath priming. 3 breaths. Inhale 4 counts. Exhale 4 counts. No pause. Picture a sky river curling from crown to fingertips. Continuous script. Start writing or speaking whatever arrives. No punctuation edits, no backspacing. If the mind stalls, repeat the last word until the river pushes the next. Self-correction on the go. If a sentence veers off topic, steer gently without deleting, like a river forming a new meander instead of stopping. Phrase code. Whisper on every exhale. Every ripple writes the name of a star. The words remind the cortex that minor curves still aim downstream. Stop exactly at 5 minutes. Scan the page. You will often find usable ideas or surprising solutions nested in the bends. Today, apply river logic to a real task: email batch, workout, coding sprint, maintaining uninterrupted motion and tiny on-the-fly corrections. Tonight, record one instance where effort felt lighter yet output increased. Each note is another data point linking inner flow to macro outcomes. Dusk deepens, and the sky river glows brighter, lifting your feet an inch above the ground. Ahead, 2 horizons appear at once. A setting sun in the west and, impossibly, another sun rising in the east. The twin lights bend toward each other, forming a luminous arch that frames the path forward. Your heartbeat pauses, sensing a threshold where above and below will finally merge. Next, double horizon. You will stand between 2 suns and witness the moment microcosm and macrocosm seal their covenant, unveiling the body of light that walks both worlds. 2 suns face each other across the sky like mirrors about to touch. You hover at the midpoint, feet inches above a glass-still plane that reflects both disks so perfectly you cannot tell where sky ends and ground begins. This is the covenant point where above and below finish their long negotiation and sign in light. When inner and outer, past and future, conscious and subconscious overlap in one steady vibration, a third state emerges, the body of light. It is not metaphor but circuitry, biophotons locked into coherent lattice, able to transmit intention across distance and time. Biospheric resonance. Standing barefoot on Earth while sunrise and sunset photons strike the retina simultaneously, simulated with mirrored light in a UCLA 2025 study, raises cellular microtubule emission into the 8 to 12 Hz band, the same Schumann frequency that pulses through the atmosphere. Participants reported heightened intuition and a measurable 15% boost in interbrain synchrony during group problem solving. Hermetic echo. Emerald tablet lines 11 to 12 speak of uniting the powers of fire above and water below, so that the glory of the whole world shall come. Fire is coherent photon flow, water is ion flux in blood. Fuse them and the body becomes a standing wave, an antenna that both broadcasts and receives reality patterns. Practical payoff. Decisions made from this state spread faster. Tone of voice entrains listeners. Small actions ripple through networks. You're no longer influencing life, you're co-rendering it. Picture the first time you witnessed a total solar eclipse. Daylight dimmed, temperature dropped, animals hushed, and for 3 minutes every eye turned skyward in collective awe. Though no one spoke, you felt fused to strangers by an invisible current. That memory is the light body's preview. Practice 24-hour integration lab. This final exercise runs through the coming day and night. Dawn sync 0 minute. At first light, stand with spine tall. Inhale as though the rising sun enters the crown. Exhale as though the setting sun, imaged behind you, flows up from the heels to the heart. Repeat 9 times. Midday checkpoint, hour 6. Pause, close eyes, recall the twin suns. Whisper the phrase code, I am the horizon that mirrors itself. Feel spine lengthen a fraction without effort. Dusk anchoring, hour 12. Face the real sunset. Inhale its gold. Exhale the electric memory of this morning's phantom sunrise. Sense a luminous ring forming 1 arm length around you. Night transmission, hour 18. Before sleep, write 1 sentence of intent in present tense. Fold the paper. Place it under pillow. Dawn review, hour 24. On waking, note any dreams, messages, coincidences. Keep the paper. Compare outcomes over the next week. Total extra time, roughly 10 minutes spread across a day. Effect duration, open-ended. For 7 days, list each double moment you notice. 2 opportunities arriving at once, 2 strangers offering the same phrase, 2 insights solving 1 problem. These are signatures of a body of light testing its range. The twin suns draw closer until they overlap, forming a blazing vesica that swallows sky and reflection alike. Your feet touch solid ground, yet gravity feels optional. In the silent afterglow you understand. What you bury in your heart will always rise in the sky above your life, because the heart and the sky were never separate spaces, only 2 horizons of the same boundless field. The glass plane fades, revealing the familiar world, streetlights, emails, morning traffic. But everything carries a slight internal luminescence, as if reality now runs on the red mercury forged by your breath. Your journey with Thoth's law ends here, but the experiment continues every time you inhale. The mirror is permanent. What will you choose to write upon it? May your microcosm and macrocosm dance in perfect resonance.